Okay, here we go again. Let me go live. I am live, and let's see. Let me refresh that. Okay, so I'm going back live again on Facebook because apparently you can't play Jim Reeves. Let me, Gene, for some of you old codgers, you might know someone called Gene Pitney. Gene Pitney. He's an American songwriter. He died in 2006. Gene Francis Allen Pitney was an American singer, songwriter. Pitney charted 16 top 40 hits in the U.S., with 4 in the top 10 in the United Kingdom. He had 22 top 40 hit singles, including 11 in the top 10. Gene Pitney sang a couple of his songs was Only Love Can Break a Heart, Town Without Pity is a couple of his better songs. And he counts it as a privilege for somebody to play his stuff. Now, I don't know. If I was to play a Gene Pitney song here right now, Only Love Can Break a Heart, they'd probably decide to pull that down. I don't know. Let me close that. I'll try that tomorrow just for giggles. Where's Town Without Pity? Those are both good songs. All right. Okay. Among his favorite hits are Town Without Pity, The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, 24 Hours from Tulsa, I'm Gonna Be Strong, It Hurts to Be in Love, Something's Got a Hold of My Heart. My buddy can sing all the Gene Pitney songs. All right, let me close that. But I just mentioned that to say that, you know, try to play a Beatles song. I mean, if you want a video pulled down in a hurry, play a Beatles song. Okay, I want to read this story to you because I'm the mayor of Realville. Since Rush Limbaugh died, he was the former mayor of Realville, and I'm now the current mayor of Realville. Because I'm just going to lay some smack down on you. You people who support abortion. Woman's death by stoning sentence rattles activist. It's the first such sentence in Sudan in nearly a decade. An October military coup in Sudan may have shifted the movement on women's rights there, not in a good way. A 20-year-old woman arrested in White Nile last month and charged with adultery has now heard her fate, death by stoning. The first known sentence like it in Sudan in almost 10 years. The woman, whose name I can't pronounce, Mariam, and I think that's the easy one. Al-Shid? Tarab? I don't know, just a guess. Says she's going to appeal. And most stoning death sentences, mainly against women, are overturned by the nation's court. But the human rights activists are concerned both for Mariam and for women in the country overall. According to Islamic law, crimes like theft, apostasy, drinking alcohol, and adultery are subject to penalties such as flogging, hand and foot amputation, and death, per the Sudan Tribune. Flogging was outlawed by Sudan's traditional government in 2020, but it's still doled out for punishment by the court. Stoning, meanwhile, wasn't included in any of the recent reforms to the hardline criminal legislation or Sharia policies, but last August, the nation ratified the United Nations Covenant Against Torture. The last time a woman in Sudan was given a stoning death for adultery was in 2013. Killing someone by stoning for such a crime is a grave violation of international law, including the right to life and the prohibition of torture, cruel and inhumane and degrading treatment or punishment. Now, let me lay some smack down here on you. Here's my comments. So let's hear about the poor women in America who have it so bad. Because the taxpayer doesn't want to foot the bill for their contraceptives or abortion. Beats, actually, let me get an S in there. Beats being stoned to death. Muslim countries is where the real war on women is being waged. You think you got it bad in America? Go ask, Brittany Griner? What she thinks of America now. Wonder if Brittany Griner would like to hear the national anthem. Wonder if she'd stand for the national anthem. Let's see. What's the update on Brittany Griner? Let's see. What's the update on Griner? She pleads for help. She pleads guilty at her drug trial in Russia. You suppose she would, you suppose if you brought her home tomorrow that she would stand and salute the flag and put her hand over her heart for the national anthem and not take a knee? Or do you suppose she'd be just as defiant? See, I think all women need a dose of, all liberal women. All liberal women need a dose of reality. So if you think you got it bad in America because someone don't want to pay for your abortions or your contraceptives, go over to China and have a forced abortion. All right. Let me see what's going on in the news here. First time in 20 years, €1 is worth $1. Drop signals trouble for the Eurozone economies. So apparently, maybe the dollar was behind the euro. It's good news for anybody planning a European vacation, but bad news for American exporters. The euro has sunk to its lowest level in almost 20 years. The exchange rate is now hovering around 1-to-1. The dollar always talked in this world, but apparently it was running behind the euro. The rate seen last December, the rate last seen in December 2002 follows a rapid decline for the European currency amid surging inflation and the war in Ukraine, which has hit European economies harder than the U.S., the New York Times reports. The euro has sagged more than 11% so far this year, while the dollar has remained very resilient against other currencies. The euro, now the currency of 19 European countries, with a 20th, Croatia, set to join next year, peaked at $1.60 in 2008. So in other words, you had to give $1.60 of American money to buy €1. Now it's 1 for 1. Analysts say the fall to $1 is another sign that the Eurozone is heading into recession. Eat the rich with popsicles shaped like Musk and Bezos? No, thank you. L.A. County DA unseals secret transcript in Polanski case. That's Roman Polanski. L.A. County DA unseals secret transcript in Polanski case. Filmmaker's lawyers say testimony of ex-prosecutor could free Polanski in 77 sex abuse case. Twice, Roman Polanski's legal team has tried to resolve his sexual abuse case in the U.S., but to no avail. They're hoping the third time to be a charm, as the current L.A. district prosecutors agreed to unseal an important transcript that his predecessors had kept secret. Citing the wishes of Polanski's victim, a 13-year-old, when she was abused 45 years ago. Transparency and unique, extraordinary circumstances. George Gascon asked a state appeals court on Tuesday to unseal the testimony of retired prosecutor Roger Gunson, which notes it's not clear why the testimony was sealed in the first place. For years, this office has fought the release of the information that the victim and public have a right to know. Polanski pleaded guilty in 1977 to assaulting the teen after plying her with champagne and drugs. And later, he fled to France shortly after and has been living there since. What was it? Sharon Tate? Was it Sharon Tate was an interest of Polanski? That's how old Polanski is. All right, so we'll see. see how that goes. 3 guys charged with trying to sell stolen Hotel California lyrics. Their lawyers say they did nothing wrong. Well, I'm going to tell you one thing. You'll get on the wrong side of Eagles. Them guys is about as egotistical as it gets. A rock memorabilia dealer and 2 other men were charged Tuesday with scheming to sell allegedly ill-gotten handwritten lyrics to the classic rock juggernaut Hotel California and other hits written by the Eagles. Prosecutors say the trio lied to auction houses and buyers about the manuscript's fuzzy chain of origin, coaching the person who provided the material about what to say. Meanwhile, the men tried to thwart Eagles co-founder John Henley's efforts to reclaim the items. They made up stories about the origin of the documents and the right to possess them. All right, so there's that. As I told you yesterday, I find this story. I was apparently going to report this story yesterday, but somehow I must have closed it out. But I find this story just a little bit disturbing. I don't know why, but you remember the story of Casey White and Vicky White, totally unrelated. Vicky White worked in the sheriff's office, and she was going to transport Casey White to a court date or something. I forget what exactly it was going on. And the two were in love, and they were on the lam together. And Vicky had sold a house and had some money, and she had pretty much premeditated this whole thing. And then, they crashed a car, and so I'm sorry, but this Correction Officer Vicky White died in a suicide in May as police pursued the car she was in with escaped Alabama convict Casey White. Now, they're not married. They just happen to have the same name. And now Casey White is charged in her death. The escapee, who was apprehended May 9th in Evansville, Indiana, has been charged with felony murder. In the course and furtherance of committing escape in the first degree, he caused the death of Vicky White. No, she caused her own death. She's a big girl. She's responsible for her own actions. Under Alabama state law, a felony murder charge can apply when someone dies during the course of a defendant committing a crime. Vicky White was a big girl. She fully premeditatively planned their escape. Casey could not have done it without her. She is solely responsible for her actions. Imagine that. A woman being responsible, but they blame it on the man. Where is the feminist outrage? They are loudly silent. Okay. Her own actions. Let me get a comma in there. They are loudly silent. Okay. This is some science stories. At famous battle site, an incredibly rare find. Here's a couple of stories. Let me just hit these. Kind of interesting. At famous battle site, an incredibly rare find, complete skeleton of a likely soldier found alongside horse bones near the site of Waterloo. Finding human remains at the site of a famous battle isn't usually very surprising, but in the case of the Battle of Waterloo, which ended Napoleon's rule as Emperor of France, though up to 20,000 men died in the battle in modern-day Belgium on June 18, 1815, many bones are later burned or ground up to be used as fertilizer. Since excavations began in 2015, little more than the remains of a hunchback and the bones of severed limbs have been unearthed. In an incredibly rare find, however, experts have now discovered the complete skeleton of a man believed to be a soldier who likely battled Napoleon's forces as part of a British-led coalition under the command of the Duke of Wellington. I've been a battlefield archaeologist for 20 years, and I've never seen anything like it. The soldier's remains were found among severed leg and arm bones, medical waste, ammunition boxes in a ditch, believed to have served as a Wellington's field hospital. The theory is that the man's body was dumped there after he died during treatment. We won't get any closer to the harsh reality of Waterloo than this. Young people who drink solo take heed of this study. Study finds young solitary drinkers at an increase for alcoholism in their mid-30s. So I guess if you socially drink, you're better off than solo drinking. I would suggest not doing either. The manner in which you drink alcohol as a young person might be more important than how much you drink in determining future alcoholic risk, according to a new research that warns against drinking alone early in life, especially if you're a young female. Researchers analyzed data from 4,500 18-year-olds who provided information about their alcohol use over a 17-year period that ended when they were 35. And as adolescents, age 18 in this case, about 25% of them reporting drinking alone. When they provided an update on their drinking habits as young adults, 40% reported drinking solo. At age 35, they were asked about alcohol use disorder symptoms. Researchers found those who drank alone as adolescents had a 35% increased risk for developing symptoms of alcoholism at age 35 compared with adolescents who drank in social settings. Pioneer of psychedelics and therapy dies at 91. Anne Shulgin, along with her late husband Alexander, was a psychotherapy pioneer. Anne Shulgin, who, together with her late husband Alexander, pioneered the use of psychedelic drugs and psychotherapy and wrote 2 seminal books on the subject, died at 91. She had been ill due to chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. She died Saturday surrounded by loved ones at the farm. She had a deep understanding of Jungian psychoanalysis and collaborated with her husband, who in the 70s rediscovered MDMA compound, better known as ecstasy, and introduced it as a possible mental health treatment. Good riddance. To people who promoted these narcotics for supposed health purpose. All right. So I said about the Vicky White story, I said, here, let me edit that and capitalize White. I said Vicky White was a big girl. She fully premeditatively planned their escape. Casey could not have done it without her. She is solely responsible for her own actions. Imagine that a woman being responsible and they blame it on the man. Where is the feminist outrage? They are loudly silent. Okay. I like Henley's voice, but let me okay, there I need. Okay, Jack says they should say they got them from Epstein Island. They'll be out by dinner. Okay, let's let me close that one and close that one. And I might need to look at that later. Let me get to a Pantheos and see if they... 7 surprising teachings about money in the Bible. It's not the root of all evil. The love of money is the root of all evil. Here's 7 surprising teachings about money in the Bible. This is by Dave Willis. August 4th. Oh, it's 2015. Wow. I guess they're recycling some old articles. Early on in our marriage, my wife Ashley and I faced some serious financial struggles. We were drowning in debt, living on credit, and constantly stressed out. It's easy to see why financial stress is now one of the top 2 causes of divorce. I wished I mean, this is some new thing they're starting. They have a commercial or they have an ad, and as you scroll, you can't get rid of the ad. We finally broke free from the exhausting cycle of trying to make ends meet and coming up short, and we're far from rich, but we're living with margin and freedom in our finances, and the difference is amazing. We're not financial experts by any means, but I'd like to share with you the same principles that were taught to us. You might be shocked where we learn this sage financial wisdom, the Bible. That's right. The Bible actually provides brilliant and timeless financial strategies. God wants us to get this right. I don't know. God said there will always be poor among you. All right. Here is in no particular order. These 7 principles can help you live with peace and freedom in your finances if you apply them. These are in no particular order. Number 1, true wealth is measured by relationships, not by dollars. Your faith in your family is more valuable than your paycheck, so don't compromise what matters most in your pursuit of wealth. It's okay to have money, but never let money have you. Don't kill yourself trying to get wealth only to miss out on real life in the process. Your family can do with less stuff if it means having more of you. Well, maybe. Proverbs 23:4 says, do not wear yourself out to get rich. Have the wisdom to show restraint. Number 2, debt is a form of slavery, so get rid of it as fast as you can. When you shackle yourselves with golden handcuffs of debt, you're giving away part of your freedom to the debtor. Dave Ramsey says you may need to do plastic surgery, cut up the credit cards. Proverbs 22:7, a borrower is a slave to the lender. Number 3, lasting wealth comes from consistent discipline, not from get-rich-quick schemes. Our culture wants everything now. So many of us have a financial plan of winning the lottery or betting on a lucky stock. That's a poor approach. Lasting wealth is a result of strong worth ethic over a long period of time when applied with other principles as well. Money, like children, goes little by little. Wealth from get-rich schemes quickly disappears. Wealth from hard work grows over time, says Proverbs 13:11. Number 4, it's all God's money. We're just managers of it. The principle changed the way we looked at, quote, our money and our stuff. None of it actually belongs to us. Once we learned that we're just managers of God's resources, we stopped acting so entitled and immature in our impulsive purchases. Psalms 24:1, the earth is the Lord's and everything in it, the world and all who live in it. Number 5, money is not evil, but greed is. People have often misquoted the Bible to say money's the root of all evil, which is not what the Bible says. It's the love of money is the root of all evil. But when an unhealthy love of money becomes the primary desire of our heart, it becomes an unhealthy idol. And greed can drive us to do barbaric things in an unquenchable quest for more. Is your pursuit of money well, let's put it this way. The blessing or the curse comes in money. What it's being used for? Yourself or God's kingdom? Number 6, generosity blesses both the giver and the recipient. Oh, let me read 1 Timothy 6:10, just by the way. For the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil, and some people craving money have wandered from true faith and pierced themselves with many sorrows. Generosity leaves both the giver, generosity blesses both the giver and the recipient. The happiest people I know are the most generous, and the most miserable are misers. When you're generous, everybody wins. When you're stingy, everyone loses. Proverbs 11:25, the generous will prosper. Those who refresh others will find themselves refreshed. Number 7, you can't take it with you, but you can shape eternity with it. There's never been a hearse pulling a U-Haul, because we obviously can't take our wealth with us. Well, it's better said there's no luggage racks on a hearse. But we can invest it in people and ministries that will create an eternal legacy. Commit to using your money and making a difference that would outlive you. Jesus taught, don't store up your treasures here on earth where the moths eat them and rust destroys, and where thieves break in and steal. Store your treasures in heaven where moths and rust cannot destroy and thieves cannot break in and steal. Wherever your treasure is, there the desires of your heart will be also. Matthew 16:19-21. Money is not intrinsic intrinsically evil. The curse or blessing comes in its use. Are you using it to promote self or God's kingdom? Good thoughts. Good principles. An article. Okay. There's only one comment on this 9-hour. Oh, well, maybe this is just with this article, because this article's 2015. So maybe they're doing some, golden oldies. up here. Where are we at? August 4th, 2015. That's actually 7 years ago. All right, let's just hit a couple of headlines. Elizabeth Warren slammed for attacking crisis pregnancy centers. We need to shut them down. Berkeley professor calls senator transphobic for saying men can't get pregnant. No, because they can't. Sorry. California law professor on Tuesday labeled U.S. Senator Josh Hawley transphobic for claiming only women can get pregnant. Well, friends, I got news for you. I don't know if this has got a comment section or not. I thought they did on Facebook, but if you don't have ovaries, a fallopian tube, cervix, womb, you're not getting pregnant. I don't care. And a guy born with testicles, if he has them removed and has his genitalia modified to look like a woman, doesn't have those internal ingredients to cause him to get pregnant. So men cannot get pregnant. If you are a woman and you call yourself a man, you're still a woman if you can get pregnant. Men cannot get pregnant. Let me read some of this exchange. Video went back and forth. Hawley. Okay, Bridges accused Hawley of crossing a line. This is the back and forth. I want to recognize that your line of questioning is transphobic and it opens up trans people to violence by not recognizing them, she retorted. You're saying that I'm opening up people to violence by asking whether or not women are the folks who can get pregnant? Hawley asked. I want to note, Bridges said, that out of 5 transgender persons, that 1 out of 5 transgender have attempted suicide. Okay, so she dodged the question. She dodged the question. Hawley said, because of the line of questioning, we can't talk about it. Bridges says because denying that trans people exist and pretending not to know that they exist, Bridges said. Hawley said, am I denying that trans people exist by asking you if you're talking about women? Bridges said, then asked the senator, do you believe that men can get pregnant? Hawley answered, no, I do not think men can get pregnant. So you're denying that trans people exist, Bridges said. Neither Bridges or Hawley backed down. So it's Hawley should have just said, he just should have asked the professor, can a person without fallopian tube, cervix, ovaries, womb, cervix, whatever, can a person without those body parts get pregnant? Yes or no? And that leads to violence. Is this how you run your classroom? Hawley asked. Are students allowed to question you, or are they treated like this when they're told that they're opening up people to violence by questioning you? They're allowed to question, Bridges said. You should join in. You might learn a lot. I would learn a lot, Holly said. I've learned a lot during this exchange. See, to be politically correct, they deny basic biology. God created male and female. Bridges arguments with God isn't with Josh Hawley. God sent them on the ark, male and female. Male and female, he created them male and female, and male and female did he create them. Kira M. Bridges. She was asked why she kept avoiding the word woman. Why are you using the term person with a capacity for pregnancy instead of women? All right, so thanks for joining me today here. We'll get to some more interesting things tomorrow. Thanks for joining me today. This is Frank the Verse Thomas with our Daily View from the Pew, heard every day, Monday through Friday, 4 to 6 p.m. here at Jordan Crossing Church. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your neighbors. And join us here tomorrow, same time, same channel. Till then, this is Frank the Verse Thomas signing out here at
KPOG 102.9 FM, Grimes.